Welcome to this winter yoga practice. We're going to be working with the meridians and organs of the kidneys and the bladder. So I'm going to point out where they are quickly in the body. You are going to need a few props though. If you have more than one block, have a couple of blocks and definitely a blanket as well for knees and for relaxation. So it's there's a fluid aspect to the practice, but there's also an element of stillness as well. So the kidney meridian starts in the soles of the feet. And we're actually going to open up into the soles of the feet first. So kidney 1, I'm going to come nice and close to show you. So kidney 1, if you come in line with your second toe and come down into the ball of your foot, this point here is about a third of the distance down your foot. And we're just going to use the tips of our fingers just to really open up into this point, just massaging into it. So it's a key point on the meridian line for helping to feel less anxious, to feel more grounded. So I'm just massaging into it with the tips of my fingers. Okay, so you keep going while I move back. And then just turn the foot over and just give it a little tap on the sole of the foot. Just to waken it up. Then turning the foot over, just give the ankle a gentle rub all the way around the top of the foot and into between the ankle bone and the Achilles tendon. And then we'll do that on the other side. So just pressing into kidney 1, so in line with the second toe, just beneath the ball of the foot. And by using the fingertips here, you know you're going to catch the point. So the kidney starts in the sole of the foot, comes up through the inner ankle, comes up through the inner shin and thigh, and it comes up the center line of the body and it ends just underneath the collarbones. Okay. And it's a really important meridian line to work with for vitality and energy in the body. So then a nice tap into the sole of the foot, just a general tap all over. And then turning the foot over and give it a little rub, especially around the area of the ankle where the meridian line comes up. So we're going to be stretching into this inner thigh area. So come on up to standing and see what those feet feel like. The other meridian that we're working with is the bladder that comes from the inner corners of the eyebrows over the top of the head, down the neck, and then 2 channels either side of the spine, all the way down the back of the legs, and it ends on the baby toe. Okay. So we'll start actually with a little bit of do-in, just a little bit of tapping around that meridian line, tapping all the way around to the back of the head, and then just generally over the head, just waking up the brain, getting some blood flow. And then you can just give the forehead a little wipe, a little smooth off, just to release. And then interlacing the fingers, we're going to come to the back of the neck and we're just going to squeeze into the back of the neck, just pinching with the heels of the hands, just massaging in where that trapezius muscle is and where the bladder meridian comes down. The bladder meridian really to do with our nervous system, helping us to relax by working on it. And then maybe just with one hand, just squeezing into that muscle just along that runs along the top of the shoulder. And do that on both sides. It can be quite tight and stiff. And then making a very floppy fist, you're going to come and tap down the inside of the arm, and then up the back of the arm to the shoulder. So this is catching the yin meridians in the arm and then the yang meridians in the back of the arm. And again, it just helps. It's a really good idea because this is winter time. It's a good idea for warming up to work into the meridians like this. So coming down the other arm and up the back of the arm. It's one more round. And come to the chest, and let's just tap into the outer edge of the chest, which is just under the collarbones. So this is opening up into the lungs, and you can feel that into your chest. And then just bring the tapping in a little bit closer to the center. I've got a mic here, so I can't tap very strongly on this one side, but just notice how that sensation drops down into the abdomen. Then come down through that center line to the belly, and we're just going to give a general tap around the area of the belly. Just catching a few meridian lines here. We're just again bringing our focus down and inwards. And then folding forwards and tapping either side of the spine. So this is very much working along the bladder meridian, down the back of the body. Just take a few of these. And then come up and give the bum a little sugar and give the buttocks a tap. And then reach right to the very back of the legs as you tap down. And then reach right into the very inner edges. So this is kidney on the inside of the legs. Outside is no gallbladder, so the yang meridians in the legs. And then liver, the inner seams of the trousers, the yin meridians on the inside of the legs, and then just the outer thigh, the stomach, and then just the inner shin, the spleen on the way up. Good. And when you get to the top, just give everything a little shake, a little shimmy, flicking off anything that still remains. And we're just going to come and rub. So the kidneys really love to be warm. So rubbing into the area of the kidneys, which is just above the back of the waist, and then coming into this central point at the waist, which is a place called Ming Men, which is, I love the name of it, a gate of vitality. So you can imagine it's an important place to create vitality in the body or to increase it. And then come down to the sacrum and give that a little rub, just up and down. Breathing in. And then as you exhale, just release the arms forwards. Breathing in and then exhale. Do that once more. And then just slide the hands down the backs of the legs to come into an easy forward fold. I'm just resting the forearms on the thighs. Maybe just moving the head a few times. Just opening and closing the jaw, stretching the mouth. And just notice how you feel. And then very gently making your way up to standing. So we're going to do a little bit of opening up into the joints. So the bones are a tissue that's associated with the water element, the kidneys and the bladder. So we're just going to circle the head. And as you circle, take really small, easy circles. And think about actually working into the spine as opposed to stretching the muscles of the neck. So think about moving with those vertebrae. Take those circles in the other direction. Good. And remember, you're just breathing as you're doing this, breathing in and breathing out. Good. Bring the head into the center, lift it up, just drop it back. Again, not forcing the stretch. Chin comes into the chest and you lift it up. Exhale. Bring the head into the center, drop ear to shoulder, side to side. Not forcing the stretches, so probably not going as far as you could go. You're just coming in a little way. Good. And then come back to center, lift the shoulders up and draw them back and down. So a few shoulder rolls. You can bring the hands onto the shoulders to make this a little bit stronger. Good. And then release. And then with the feet nicely rooted, you're going to throw the arms up. So the motion is coming up from the ground in a nice circular pattern. So nice and relaxed through the shoulders themselves. Take that the other direction. So the motion is coming up from the feet. Good. A few more. And then release the arms down. Take the arms out in front and just open and close the hands really quickly, flicking the fingers away. Make fists and circle the wrists. So circling, really trying to get that sensation through the wrist joints. Take the circles the other way. Good. Push the palms away, so extending at the wrist, and then flex. Bring the palms back to face you, extending and then flexing. Do that again. And then release. Let the arms hang down with the feet hip distance. Just circle the hips. Let the shoulders relax down as you go around. Just circling the hips over the leg bone. Take those circles the other way. Just watch that breath all the time. Good. Stepping the feet in so the inside edges of the feet are touching and sinking and circling, just resting the hands just above the knees. So you make like a V shape and you just rest the hands just over the top of the knee. So I'm not pressing on the knee joints themselves. Take those circles the other way, and you can feel the weight shifting from one foot to the other. Nice smooth movements. Okay, and then come on up to standing. You're going to roll over the toes. So take the weight into your front foot, and the foot that's behind, you're going to roll over onto the top of the foot and then roll back. And you're just going to roll forwards and back a few times. Just trying to get that mobility, but also the sensation. What does it feel like to put the pressure through your toes like this? So when we do, there's a flow that we do like a vinyasa in between the postures. It can be quite nice to roll through the toes. Some of you will do that. Shift sides, do that on the other foot. So just going forwards and back. And just breathing, remember, as you do this work. Good. And then finally, just give everything a little shake, a little flick, just opening up through any areas that maybe feel stuck still. Good, breathing in, exhale out through the mouth, inhale, exhale out, inhale, exhale. Send the arms up, bring the hands down to the back of the head. So this is on the bladder meridian. Just rest the thumbs into this point at the base of the skull. You're going to lean back into the thumbs and just open up through the throat. And as you exhale, bring the chin in towards the chest. Good, breathing in, open, and exhale as you close. Good. Bring the head and center it. Send the arms away. Bring the hands to the rib cage. See if you can reach all the way around and just see if you can open into the area of the chest. And as you exhale, see if you can separate those ribs as you just round forwards. Breathing in, opening, and exhale as you round. Slide the hands down to the lower back, open through the front. And as you exhale, bring the hands around to the thighs and just round. Inhale as you lift up. Do that again. And exhale. Good. One more of the back bend. And then just slide the hands down the backs of the legs as you come into an easy forward fold. Maybe just holding on to the elbows. Just letting the weight of the arms create the stretch. So we're going to be holding a few of the poses for a little bit longer. And this will just allow us to work in a more yin way, where we're working with the connective tissue and the fascia of the body. So very slowly let the arms dangle and unfurl. Inhale as you come on up to standing. Good. Send the arms away. And as you exhale, bring the hands back down. So you're going to come to the top of your mat. Have a block handy. We're going to come into a forward fold that we're going to hold for a little bit more time. So send the arms away. Bring the hands down to that back of the head again. We'll take a little side bend here. Breathing in, back into the middle. Take your side bend the other way. So trying to work with all directions of the spine. Good. Send the arms away. Bring the hands to the chest. And as you exhale, take a twist here. So one arm's just moving behind you. Breathing in. As you exhale, see if you can take the twist the other way. Good. Slide the hands down to the little shelf, open through the front. And as you exhale, come down into your forward fold. So I want you to try to find a place here where you can rest. That might be resting the arms on the thighs. That might be resting the hands onto the block, which you can turn to an appropriate height. You might be able to rest the forearms on the block, which you might be at a higher or lower height, resting the head down. So just find somewhere. I'm going to take this position, resting the hands on a flat block. Knees are slightly bent. And there's that feeling, that sensation of the gaze going inwards. A forward fold is very calming, very quietening for the mind and for the body. Making sure that when you hold these poses for a little bit longer, you're not too strongly into them. To make sure we keep sort of out of the pose ever so slightly, so there's scope to sink or creep into the pose as you stay there for time. Good, let's take another breath. And then bend the legs to get the hands to the ground. Just move the block to the side and just make your way down to the floor.
lower the knees and push back. Come all the way forwards and down onto the belly. And then let's take a little Sphinx pose. So just a nice, easy Sphinx, nice, easy back bend, opening through the front of the body. So the end of the kidney meridian is just under the collarbones, either side of the sternum. So that feeling of opening into that point. And we're just going to take a little turn and look over the shoulder. Breathing in, come back into the center. And as you exhale, take a little turn to look over the opposite shoulder. Just do that either side. Again, remember we're not sort of pushing into those muscles. And then hold Sphinx pose in the center. And as you exhale, lower down. Good. Bring the hands onto the shoulders. Make your way back into child's pose. And come up and just arch your spine. Bring the hands directly under the shoulders and just drop your head and round. And as you inhale, tilt the pelvis towards the ground and take the gaze forward. So this cat-cow movement, just moving very much with your spine. Moving gently. Imagine you're increasing that flexibility, that mobility, and the amount of fluid in the spine, the cerebral spinal fluid. Good. Come to a neutral position, tucking the toes under and drawing the hips back into down dog. If you're not doing down dog, you can stay in child's pose or you can take cat-cow. Taking a couple of these. Good. Lower. And one more. Exhale. From down dog, looking forwards, bending the legs and just walking to the top of your mat, staying low. Folding. And then inhaling, rooting the feet into the floor as you unfurl and make your way all the way up. And exhale, bring the hands down. Okay, good. Come into a horse stance. So feet turn out slightly. Bring the hands up as if you're holding onto little plates, dinner plates. So make sure with the legs, they're no greater than 40 degrees out to the side. It can be less than that too. As you exhale, you're going to keep the base still and you're just going to turn gently through the rib cage, the torso. Breathing in, come back into the center, and as you exhale, take a little twist the other way. So the idea of this twist is that we're working with the spine. We're pushing up against those organs a little bit, and then we're releasing. And when we release, we increase the sort of vitality, mobility, the energy around that organ, and then release. Good. Turn to, let's go to the back of your mat. Have the feet on separate tracks, warrior one. Send the arms up as you exhale, bend into that front leg and just bring the hands and rest them on the base of the skull. Get that opening through the chest, breathing in, send the arms away, straighten the legs, and as you exhale, lower into it. So making sure the feet are on separate tracks, you're rooting into the outer edge of that front foot, you feel that kidney 1 point. As you breathe, it's a sensation of groundedness, rootedness. You can let the arms float up if that isn't too much stress for the shoulders. We're trying to ease out any stress there after all. Good. Bring the hands down to the hips, step the back foot in just a tiny bit. Draw this front leg so that it's long. And as if the hip is rolling over the top of the leg bone, come forwards, melt into that forward fold, chin into chest. Relax the shoulders. Remember, any sort of blood pressure issues, keep the head above the heart. If not, you can let yourself melt into it. Find that stability between the front foot and the back foot. So we're working with the water element from the traditional Chinese medicine 5-element form. And it gives us lots of qualities to work with. Water is very adaptable. It flows around obstacles. It flows forwards. Get breathing in so we can work with these concepts within the practice. So we're going to step up for a balance, bring that leg through. So a few options here. You can just bring the hand on the inside of the leg and then open the leg out to the side. You can always come and hold on to a wall or a door. Or you can bring the foot to the hand, hook the first 2 fingers around the big toe, keeping the body nice and upright. See if you can extend that leg out in front of you. So remember, you don't need to straighten this leg. It's not how far you can go into these poses that matters.
And then maybe open the leg out to the side. So I'm keeping my gaze fixed on something just to keep my drishti as I find that stretch. And every day you come into the practice is a little bit different. So remember, if you're not taking the bind, you're just holding onto the inside of the leg. Good, breathing in, come back into the center. Let go of the leg if you're holding it. See if you can roll forwards to tip the body forward and step back into that horse stance. This is a bear form. So bears are a symbol of strength, wisdom. So turning gently, breathing in, not over rotating. Remember, we don't want to put too much stress through the body. Take a one more either side, exhale. Just a gentle twist, no sensation of twisting coming through the knees. Good, release, turn to the other end of your mat. We'll take that the other way. So remember, the feet are on separate tracks. Bending into the front leg, send the arms up, bring the hands to rest on the back of the head. As you inhale, push the feet into the floor, get a little bit of length, and then exhale, lower down. Good, one more. Inhale, straight legs, and exhale. Hold that shape. Good, breathing. You can let the arms float up if that feels good for the shoulders, or you can keep holding on to the head. It can feel quite reassuring. This point here, bladder 10, the base of the skull, that's really good for your lower back, really good for headaches, good for memory. Good, release the hands down to the hips, step the back foot in a little bit. Draw this front leg so that it's long, roll over the top of the leg bone, rest the hands on the shelf of the hips as you come into that forward fold. Remember, you can keep the head higher than the heart, or you can let the body descend into the stretch. Keep that rootedness between the front foot and the back foot. Focus on the breathing. We work with something called ocean breathing, where you restrict the throat slightly as you breathe. And that gives you this soporific effect of the sound of the breath over the mind. Good, inhale, bending into that front leg, release the arms, come through, step up. You remember, you can just bring the hand on the inside of the leg and you can open that leg out. You can hold on to something, or you can try to bring the foot to the hand to see if you can open the leg. So keeping this standing leg nice and centered and gently opening the leg out to the side as you breathe. Good, finding something of interest to look at. Good, not overextending, not making it too challenging. The idea of the winter practice is that it's very supportive, restorative. Bring the leg in, release it, step it all the way through, come down to the ground. And maybe take plank for a moment, shoulders over wrists as you breathe. And then lower the knees and make your way back into child's pose. So we're going to do this thing called a moon flow. So half a moon flow first. You roll up, you round your spine as much as you can. And then you let the chest move through. So there's no chaturangas, no bending of the arms. And you gently lift the gaze as you look out in front of you. When you reach the end of your inhale and you've paused, you start the exhale and you slowly move it back, bringing the feet in as you roll back. So that's the half bit. To take a full one, you need to move back into down dog. So to come into down dog, you can just start to move back through all fours, roll through the toes, or just tuck the toes under one at a time as you make your way back into the down dog. Good. Breathing in, come forwards. Shoulders come over the wrists and there's a rounding through the spine. Lower the knees. Release the feet. Let the chest move through into the back bend. Good. And exhale as you make your way back. So let's just do that again. Rolling up as much as you can. And then on this one, we'll just do the simpler variation, coming through all fours, tucking the toes under and making your way back into down dog. Once you reach the end of the exhale and the pause, you roll forwards, you drop the knees, you release the feet, move into your back bend, and exhale as you send it back. Okay, so we're going to do a little bit of more work onto the hips now. So bringing in maybe some padding for your knees across your mat and coming into all fours.
Let's take the left leg away, tuck the toes under, and really work on opening into the ball of the foot. So you're going to exhale and bring the knee through, and as you inhale, take the leg back and flex the foot. Good, exhale. So point the toes as the knee comes forward, and as you send the leg back, flex the foot. So you're pushing the heel away. Good, take one more of those, and then release. This time, bring the leg forward, then take it out to the side and circle it. So this outward rotation of the leg at the hip socket. So drawing it forwards, out to the side and back around. Take one more of those. Then cross the leg over the other leg, toes tucked under. Push the heel away and then see if you can look over the shoulder towards that heel. So a nice little side stretch. Good. Come back into the center, unstep the leg. We're going to take this into a half side plank. So bringing this right hand under the shoulder, you might need a block to go underneath it, turning to the side, keeping the sole of this back foot on the ground. Arm's going to come over, and we're just going to bend at the elbow and just let the weight of that hand create this nice stretch and opening through the side of the body as you breathe. And just let the head also creep into that side stretch. Very much focusing on the breath, moving in and moving back out. Good, release, turn to the ground. Come down onto the forearms, re-elevate that left leg. Again, you can skip this or you can keep the foot on the ground if you're not wanting to invert the body. Good, lower the leg to the ground, toes tuck under, step it through into a forearm plank. So it's not forgetting about core, even though we're doing a winter sort of more restful practice. Good. Lower the knees and come all the way down onto the belly. Rest down. Good. So I'm just going to skit around the other way to show you a variation for this. So in your lying down position, you're going to bend the left leg and slide it up so that the knee is in line with the hip. Toes are pointing away. And there's a possibility of lifting up into your back bend as well. But just see what this feels like for your back. If the combination of the two things is too intense, then just work with a straight leg and just work with the back bend, or lie down and just focus on the bent leg. So you're getting a nice opening through the groin area and this lovely opening through the front of the body, and obviously stimulation through the back. But this really opens into the kidney meridian from the sole of the foot, the inner ankle, the inner calf, the inner thigh, and then up through the abdomen to just underneath the collarbones. And for this first one, we'll do it slightly differently on the second side, but for this first one, just keep the chest open as you breathe. Good. Making sure that it's not too strong when you're holding some of these poses for a little bit of time. If you're not finding it strong enough, you can build up that knee with a blanket. Sometimes people even put a block underneath it. And you could even straighten that leg out to the side for a much stronger shape. Okay. Good. Lower down. Release that leg. Just slide it back. Just rest for a moment and notice. Bring the hands under the shoulders. Push your way back into child's pose. In child's pose, just take a moment to notice what it feels like on that side. And then do a little bit of movement. Let's just take a half moon flow. So you come forwards and through, find a little back bend. And as you exhale, move it back into child's pose. Okay, so let's do that on the other side. So hands come under shoulders, you extend through the right leg, toes tuck under, you push the heel away, really opening kidney 1 in the ball of the foot. Draw the knee through, you can round, inhale, flex the foot, exhale, round, pointing the toes, and then flexing. Do that again. Okay, next time you bring the leg forward, you then take it out to the side and do a circle round and back. Drawing it forwards and circling it around and back. So this outward rotation of the leg at the hip socket. Good. Stepping the leg over the other leg, tucking the toes under, straightening the leg or walking the leg back, and then just looking maybe over that left shoulder so you get that lovely stretch as you breathe from the heel all the way to the shoulder. Good. Release, step it back, taking this easy half side plank. So maybe there's something underneath that hand if you need it. Bring the arm up and over, bend at the elbow, and just let the arm hang over the head. Good. As you breathe, keeping the foot planted. Find that side stretch. Maybe letting the head just relax down to find that stretch. Take another breath here. And then just release forward and down and come into this inversion. So not wanting to invert the body, then just rest. If not, lifting the leg, you can let the head come below the heart. Just that nice refresh, that venous return of the blood to the heart. Very restful. Good. Lower the legs, stepping back into your forearm plank. Cultivating some strength still. And then lower the knees and come all the way down to the belly. So remember, we're going to take this half sphinx shape. Sometimes we call it gecko as well in yin. Sliding the right leg up, bending at the knee. Knee comes to about hip height. If this is too intense, you stay low. This is a variation that you could practice with. You can straighten the leg out to the side as well. If you can make the back bend as well, then you come up onto the forearms, and I'm going to take a variation where I'm going to rest the head forwards in this time. So bringing the thumbs to the inner corners of the eyebrows and just get that feeling of opening, but also resting. So this point here, bladder 2, this little hollow on the inner corners of the eyebrow, is really good for any frontal headaches or any pain around the eyes or the face. Give into that shape. It should be a gentle feeling of opening, so there shouldn't be too much intensity. So with these poses that we hold, we don't want them to become sensational. We want a little bit of sensation, but if it's sensational, it's too strong, it's too intense. Good. Let's take another breath. And then releasing all the way down. First, resting. Wriggle that leg back. Just notice the body on the ground. Notice the hips. Bring the hands under the shoulders. Make your way back into child's pose. Before you move, again, just notice the sides. And then take your little flow so you can come through into your upward facing. And then this is where you can bring in the rolling over the toes. So to transition back, you can either flip through the feet as we did before, or with a little bit of effort, you can lift. You're on the top of the toes, and then you roll through the toes to make it back into your down dog. It's quite a long down dog. Then you come forwards, rounding. Same thing. You're rolling over the toes to make your way back forwards and through. And then exhale back into your child's pose, Balasana. Let's take one more round. You can rest if you prefer. But think about the spine. Think about moving the spinal fluids. Think about hydrating the brain, the spinal cords. Good. And then in your own time, walking or stepping the feet to the top of the mat, folding and inhaling as you come on up to standing. Exhale. So just move the blanket to the side so that we can do a standing pose. And come into your horse stance. Hold those little plates again. So we're going to do bear turns. This time as the bear turns, we're going to push down. So there might be scope to sink a little bit deeper into the legs, but don't go too deep. Inhale, turn the other way. So you can stay higher up and you can just press down. But if there's scope to sink deeper, as we've worked on the hips, so there might be a little bit more feeling of opening, and just sink a little bit deeper down. Okay, good, lifting up. So point the feet forwards, taking it to warrior 2 towards the back of our mat. So the front heel lifts and the heel slips away. The front foot, the toes lift and the heel and the toes point towards the back of your mat. So
making sure the body's nice and upright, that it's comfortable for the hip and for the sacrum, for the lower back. This front knee is settled over the ankle, so you can use your hand to give that sensation of stretch. My arms are nicely at shoulder height. And then look down that middle finger of that front hand. So some of the qualities of working with the water element are working with this inner strength and confidence, this willpower. Letting go of any fear, any panic, any dread. Good. Feel that sense of confidence, positivity. Good. Turn the front palm up. As you exhale, tip it back into a peaceful or a reversed warrior. Just find that stretch before you come forwards. Rest the arm into side angle. Make it an easy, almost lazy side angle. So not taking the hand down to the ground or to a block. Holding it, maybe looking up towards the top palm or keeping the gaze down towards the ground or your front foot. Get one more breath here. And then exhale, lower the hand down and just turn and lazily flop into that wide leg forward fold. The feet now parallel to the short edges of the mat. The head can come down. And then inhale as you lift up, heel toe the feet in a little bit. Bring the hands to the hips as you make your way back up. Back to horse, so the feet turn out. Hold on to your plates. Take that little twist, working with the spine and the nervous system. Exhale as you sink down. Breathing in, not making it too strong, so making sure it's a suitable rotation for your back, not letting the knees twist, so being quite disciplined. Inhale, exhale. Good, lifting up, point the feet forwards. Take some time to get into warrior two the other way. So the back heel lifts, slips away, front foot pivots and points towards the top of your mat. Bring the arms in so you can make it nice and deep, or you can make it a little bit shallower, just depending on what your practice is like. Making sure that this front knee is nicely centered. There's a connection through the feet to the ground. Good, look down that middle finger. Feel strong. Feel that sense of purpose and direction. That ability to flow forwards with your life around obstacles. Courageous, positive. Good. Turn the palm up. Exhale. Lean back. Releasing any negativity. Letting that go. Any fear, any stress. Good. Inhale as you come forwards. Rest the arm on the thigh. Bring the arm over. You can rest the hand on the hip if you prefer. Find that rotation through the ribcage, maybe taking the gaze up towards the top palm as you breathe. It can be quite a strong pose. You can sink into it. Good. Breathing slowly in and slowly back out. Take one more breath. Exhale, lower the hand down. Come into your wide leg forward fold. So if you had a block handy, you could come and rest the head on the block. Don't worry if the block's nowhere near you. So it can be quite nice. You have to adjust the block so it's in a suitable position. That connection of the body to the ground is super nice. You might be able to bring the block directly underneath you to make that connection. But make sure you're not overstretching through the backs of the legs. Make sure that it's a suitable position for your body right now in the practice. Relax into it. Okay, let's take another breath here. Inhale as you lift up, heel toe the feet in a little bit. Turn to the top of your mat, hands either side or frame that foot, step it back. Let's take a plank. You can drop the knees, remember, shoulders over wrists. Lower the knees, make your way back to child's pose where you can rest, or you're going to flow. You're going to flow that fluid through the spine, easing out any tension, any discomfort, making your way back into your down dog, lazily or more actively, just depending on how you're feeling today. Good, making sure you're not striving, you're not struggling in any of the poses, you're trying to non-effort. Okay, so we're going to now work on a dragon twist. So we're going to pad up the right knee and step through with the left leg. So I've got a bolster here. If you do have a bolster, you can use a bolster in this. Bring the bolster underneath you. If not, because most people won't, then just bring a block in underneath you. Okay, and we're just going to do a straight dragon. And so make sure the back leg, tuck the toes under, lift the back knee and walk it back a little bit and drop the knee down. So you've got a nice slope on that back leg. Draw back into a hurdler stretch and then come forwards. Do that again. And then you're just going to see if you can walk this front foot a little bit out to the left-hand side. So the space for the body to come down into that shape. So if I do this straight on, the space for my body to come down so the shoulders can come on the inside of the leg. So I haven't got the leg right underneath me. I've walked it out a little bit to find space. So we're going to stay here for a few breaths. We're going to take and make it a little bit of a yin pose. Some of you will be able to come down onto your forearms. There might even be scope to press into that point on the inner corners of the eyebrows. You can stay with straight arms as well as a variation. You can be a little bit higher out of the pose. So let's work with the breath. Find that connection to the breathing. Breathing in and breathing back out. Just allowing the body to sink through the points of contact. Making sure the sensations aren't too intense, they're not too strong. We've set the pose up well, there's padding for the back knee, there's enough scope, enough cushions or blankets or blocks for the forearms. We then find stillness, we find a place where we can rest and not move. And this is an important part of working with these longer held poses. Connect to the breathing, allow that natural creep into the pose, helping to move you towards a quieter state with your mind, letting go of any mental chatter. Let's take one more breath. Good. Inhale as you gently, slowly make your way back out. Oh, draw back into that hurdler stretch. Come forwards and step the leg through. Just stretch it out. I would move the blanket out of the way and just rest in child's pose and just notice the sensation, that slight feeling of maybe sort of sinking towards that left side. Then take a little half flush. So you're coming forwards into upward facing dog or just cat-cow, remember. Taking a little move back. And then we'll go straight into the other side. So padding for the left knee. Stepping through with the right leg into a reasonable lunge, tucking the toes under the back foot, lifting the knee and walking that knee back, releasing the foot. Take a little hurdler stretch and then come forwards, hurdler stretch and then come forwards. Making sure you just walk that front foot out a little bit to the side. You can stay with straight arms or there may be scope to lower. To get into a little bit detail. Sometimes you can lower onto the outer forearm, but not the inner one. You need to keep that arm straight. And then in time, you can lower into the inner one. So just connect to the breath. Notice the points of contact. Notice what's coming up in your mind as you breathe. Try to let go of any panic. And feel confident that you've set the pose up and that it's not too deep. If it is too deep, just come out of it, build up the padding, the blocks, the bolsters, whatever it is, the cushions. Find a place where you can sit in the pose. We only want about 80% intensity, no more. Tune into that quality of the breath, the stillness of the mind. We're really working towards a relaxation response here, that parasympathetic nervous system response, where the body can rest, it can digest its food, it can heal, and ultimately it can thrive. Good. Let's see if we can just sink. It's like a creep. You're not efforting, you're just giving in to that stretch. Take one more breath. And then inhale as you make your way up. I like to moan as I come out of these poses. It feels helpful. Coming forwards to step that leg through.
Just really remove the padding under the knee so you can just notice the similarities or differences between the sides. Take a little flush forwards and through. You can always do your down dog as well. Maybe even a little pedal of the heels to the ground, just to notice the pelvis. Good, and then lower the knees and push back. We're going to take a little ankle stretch here, but just take child's pose for a moment. And then bring the blanket in for your ankle. So I'm going to lay it down so there's plenty of blanket. And then just come forward so that my tops of my feet, my ankles, have got a little bit of padding underneath. And the feet are pointing straight out behind me and the heels are directly under the bum. So this might be enough. This might be enough, just having the feet flat. If you can sit back, try lifting the knees. So you can see there's a gap underneath my knees. I could put something in there to rest in the pose, which is quite nice. Or you can just hover in space and just either have the hands by the side of you or rest the hands on the knees. So we're just increasing the sensation through the ankle joints. We're not going to stay here for too long with these sort of little muscular areas. We just have to be a little bit more careful. Working with the spine and the hips, we can stay a little bit longer. Breathing, feeling that sensation. Good, one more breath here. And then release. Good, release the feet. Just circle the ankles. Oh, feel the lovely blood flow coming back in to the feet. Good. Take the feet wide. We're going to come into a squat. So taking the feet almost as wide as your mat. Okay. Pushing back over onto the soles of the feet. So come up into a high squat first and establish what sort of a squat you're going to be able to do. So this might be as low as you can come because of knee issues. If you can come wider, take the feet wider and sink down. You might want to lift the heels to come into the squat. Then as you exhale, the heels come down and the head comes down as you come into a forward fold. So remember, you might be here and coming into this. Good. The scope to come deeper into it. Remember to point the knees out as you sink into the squat, open through the chest. And as you exhale, the heels come down. So just be mindful of your knee joints as you're working into this, not overextending yourself. Okay, so we're going to come to the ground. So if your squat is here, just make your way to the ground from here. If you're able to come into the squat, see if you can bring the and just rest in that position. And then bum to the ground. Good. So just let the legs just move from side to side. And we're just going to bring the soles of the feet together and hold on to the feet and just wriggle the hips in a little bit closer. Sit nice and tall. And just see if you can bring a little bit of sort of awareness to stretch to the inner thighs. So I'm just pressing my elbows. In fact, you can work along the thighs from the groin area, just pressing with your elbows as you go. I'll just move this so that it's easier to see. So just working along the inner thighs. Good. And then come to a place where you're going to rest. You can keep the elbows on those thighs. And I'm just letting the body just tip forward slightly. So there's like a sort of, it's upright, but there's a sense of moving forwards. You could open the feet and find kidney 1, so directly beneath that second toe. You could just press into it with your thumb as you hold this pose, breathing gently. Just letting the mind be quiet. Letting go of any mental activity. Good. Take another breath. And then release as you come up to seated. Get the hands behind the knees to help bring the knees in. Take the feet wide and just let the knees fall from side to side. So we're going to come down onto our back. It's quite nice for this next one to have a block. If you haven't got a flat block, you could fold up a blanket and make sort of like a blanket block.
which is nice and comfy, and you can use that for your hips instead. So I'm going to show you what I mean. So come down onto your back, bring the knees into the belly, have a little rock from side to side. So if you've got a ponytail on, I take it out for these because you don't want to put any pressure onto the back of your neck. Bring the feet to the floor, snuggle the shoulders down and let the hips lift into your bridge pose. And this is where you can slide the block in. If you're not using a block and you're using a blanket, so just have the folded blanket and bring that in instead. You don't need a very big raise to do this, so I'll just use the blanket to show you. Hold the bridge pose for a few breaths, that nice opening all the way through the front of the body. Maybe reaching down for the heels, keeping the shoulders drawn down. Good, lower down onto your raise, so it can be as low as a blanket like me or as high as a block, but not a block that's a brick turned on its highest edge. That's too much. So all we're going to do is we're going to take either an option of two poses. One is a nice psoas stretch where you just hold onto one knee and straighten the other leg, or an inversion where you take the legs up towards the ceiling and are going to let the knees bend a little bit and bring the feet so they're directly over the chest area. So being upside down like this, it doesn't feel great if you're on your period. So you might prefer to take this option where you just stretch, or if you just don't like having the legs above you. So deciding on which pose you're going to work with. And we're not lifting into shoulder stand, so there's no sensation of tension through the area of the neck. The neck is nice and relaxed. So just distribute the weight evenly, tuning to the breathing in and out slowly. That feeling of deep calm and relaxation. Just following the breath with your mind. If you're in the bent leg variation, switch legs. So swap the legs around. If you're here, stay here for a little bit longer. See if you can really rest in this pose. That lovely return of the fluids to the center of the body. If the toes get cold or lose sensation, just give them a little wriggle. Just really turning yourself quietly inwards as you watch and observe the breath. Good, let's take one more breath here. You're going to bend the legs and bring the feet slowly to the floor. Lift the hips to slide the blanket or the block out of the way and slowly lower down. Let the hips sink deeply. Take the feet as wide as your mat. Let the knees fall in one direction. Bring the arms out to the sides. You can either keep the head centered or you can let the head lazily turn to look in the opposite direction to the knees. Breathe in that feeling of balance and equilibrium into all the systems of the body. Inhaling, lift the knees, point them to the center. As you exhale, let the knees fall the other way. Let the gaze go the other way. Giving in to tiredness, to relaxation. The weight of the body coming down through the points of contact. Good, inhale as you come back to the center. So your final resting pose, you could bring your bolster onto your legs, you could bring a cushion in for your head, or you could just extend the legs away along the mat. Maybe bring in, if you have that folded blanket, you could bring the blanket in and place it underneath your head all the way down to the shoulders as you bring the arms by the side of you. Tune into the body. Become aware of the breath moving gently. Become aware of the feet. Relaxing into the soles of the feet. Think about that kidney 1 point in line with the second toe, just beneath the ball of the foot. Relax the toes, the bones of the feet, the ankles. Relax into the tibia bone and the fibula bone of the lower leg. Relax the knees, the kneecaps. Bring your awareness up into the thighs. Relax the thighs, the femur bones. Let your awareness travel up to the hip socket. Notice how you feel around the area of the pelvis. Bring your awareness to your tailbone and then to your spine, the sacrum, the lower back, the lumbar spine, the mid back, thoracic spine, upper back, and the neck, cervical spine. Become aware of the head, the skull. Just run your mind up and down your spine to your skull a few times. Thinking about the spinal cord nestled and protected deep inside. The cerebral spinal fluid protecting that cord from any knocks or bumps. Bring your awareness to your shoulders. Relax the shoulder blades, the collarbones. And allow that feeling of relaxation and warmth and stillness to float down through the arms. Relaxing the upper arm, the humerus, the elbows, the lower arm, the radius and the ulna, the wrist joints and the palms and the hands. All the bones in the hands. Bringing your awareness to the palm, right in the center. Just notice the warmth of the palm. Heart governorate, right in the center of the palm. Meant to be a direct connection from your palms to your heart. Bring your awareness to your skull, to your head. See if you can relax the bones. What about the brain inside the skull? Can you release it from its attachments? Can you let it rest back? Feel that connection to the brain. Feel the brain relaxing. If you have a Sankalpa, a short positive phrase, say it now 3 times. I am healthy, happy, content. Whatever it is, repeat it to yourself. And then very gently wriggle your fingers and toes. Maybe have a stretch and a yawn. And bring the knees into the belly. Have a little rock from side to side. Roll onto one side and just rest in that fetal position. And then using the top hand and the top leg to help you come up, bringing the head up last. So let the head be the last thing to come up onto the shoulders. Come to seated, just sitting upright but relaxed. Notice how you feel after the practice. The spine relaxed, the brain is quiet. On an inhale, send the arms up till the palms meet. And bring the thumbs to the crown of the head and to the third eye and to the heart center. Bow the head. Om Shanti. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me in practicing this winter practice. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please remember to subscribe to the channel so that you can get notification of when I put new videos up. And just practice safely